All right, what's going on, everybody? Jordan here. Today, I've got the amazing Mr. Jerry Watkins. How's it going, Jerry? How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's been a long day already.
It has. I hear you there. It's been a long week, and we're only halfway through the week. But I'm excited to chat because we've been connected, man, since like 2018. 2018, 2019 is when we first connected back in Scottsdale, Arizona. But you were one of the first people who really gave me and Katie, I think, a chance to, really work with you guys and do something big together. And we've been able to accomplish a lot throughout our journey. We are so grateful for the opportunity to have had the ability to work with you at Society and some of the people we've worked with together. So I'm excited to talk about, our journey, your journey, and kind of what you've learned after. How long have you been connected in the salon world? When did you first get started? Back when you were a young one, right?
Before you were born, let's say that. I mean, I started in the salon world actually, way before you were born. I started when I was 12, actually. I was what they call a boy hairdresser. A bootleg hairdresser would be a better term. So that's when it all started. Yes.
I love it. And we can talk about that. Let's, for those that don't know who you are, maybe share a little bit about who you are, what you do, why you're here today.
Yes. Well, first, going back what I did, let's talk about what I did first. Like I said, I started as a boy hairdresser. Didn't know that the hair industry was for me. I just was too young to consider it. And, God led me and found my way back into hair in my early 20s. And before you know it, I had my own salon. I had a salon called Regent Street for about 9 years. And then I like to say we got, how would you say it? We got moved up to the major leagues. I joined Tony and Guy Hairdressing for about 25 years and ran 6 Tony and Guy salons. Great learning experience there. And for those of you that don't know me, all of my sons are hairdressers. I have 4 sons and they're hairdressers, better hairdressers than I've ever been. And I always tell people, if you don't think so, just ask them. They will surely let you know.
That, I can vouch for that because they've done both my hair and Katie's hair, and it's been better than anyone else we've had it done by. So I can give the testimony there.
They're great hairdressers. So they were able to take over the salons. In fact, they have a salon now, and then they're also doing rental salons and some real estate. They're doing a little bit of everything, but mainly salons and education. But after, if you never work with your kids, though, you don't have that opportunity yet, Jordy. But I'm sure one day you will. I needed to get away from my sons, at least get some space, right? Because again, they do everything better than me. And so, you leave with a low self-esteem if you hang out with your sons for too long. So, but in all seriousness, it really gave me the opportunity to start utilizing the skills I had accumulated over the years. With the 6 salons, we had lots of management teams that somebody had to train, and that somebody was me. So I got certified in a lot of processes, leadership, NLP, thinking. I mean, just a lot of different things to help business owners, big or small business. And so it became a natural progression. As they were taking over, I had to look and see, where did I want to go? And as much as I loved hair, and I was a decent hairdresser without a doubt. I built a pretty strong company here in Arizona. But as much as I loved hair, I love coaching even more. So it was a very fluid transition. I mean, this has been, I tell people that, what's that old saying, like a kid in a candy store. I just love this phase of my life, getting an opportunity to help businesses figure out what will take them to the next level. Some businesses are in trouble. So how to get out of trouble. Some businesses are ready to go to the next level. So how do you go to the next level? Because we had that opportunity to run $6 million salons and at the highest level possible. And so we got a chance to experience a lot with Tony and Guy. I'm thankful for Tony and Guy for that opportunity.
That's awesome. So 6 salons, and you said, were they each doing $1 million, or you said 6 million?
I say we averaged $1 million, because some were doing a couple of million, or close to it. And so, yeah, and things were always adjusting, but yeah, our biggest years were, we were doing about 6 million a year, a little over 6 million a year. It was our best years.
Awesome. Yeah, that has to be just, I mean, like you can't get access to that type of education or like, I guess, experience on your own, right? Like the franchise model, going through that, I'm sure you learned so much throughout it.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited to chat a lot about that today, because what you just said is, I think we find most people struggle in the salon and spa world is they have their passion for their craft. They're maybe amazing what they do, but they're they have the art side, but they haven't paired it up with the business side. And that's not usually their fault. Like it's just due to the fact of there's no real knowledge or education or like schooling on how to run a actual business, how to actually make money out of the passion, right? So I'm excited to talk about kind of things you've learned along the way, and talk about our history and journey together, and talk about what your goals are moving in to a whole different life transition right now. Are you living in the Bahamas right now? Is that right?
No, I'm back and forth. That's my new love interest is there, and yeah. So I spend 2 weeks every 2 months there, and she spends 2 weeks every 2 months here, and so we somehow that's the plan.
I love it.
Yeah,
I know that was a big motivator. Like when we first met, like you guys were looking to your sons were looking to really take over that location back in Scottsdale Society, and you were looking to really give them everything they needed to really run that on their own, and ready for that next life transition. So like I'm super happy for you that you've been able to make that transition, and the boys sounds like they're crushing it. They got a ton of exciting things going on. Sounds like society's doing pretty well. So I love to hear it.
yeah.
Let me give a little intro to everybody. When you guys are here, give us a hashtag live or hashtag replay. If you're tuning in, we can see all of your comments. So please talk to us here today. If you have any questions for Jerry, which I'd highly recommend, if you are trying to go to 10, 25, 50, $100,000 a month or more in your location right now, Jerry's operated 6 million or multi-million-dollar locations. And I had experience for how many total years? You said maybe before I was born, but if you had to put a number.
I've been a hairdresser since 1981, I believe it is, and I started owning my first salon, I believe, in well, it was 9 years after that. 5 years after that, I should say. So about 86, 86, I owned my first salon, and so I've been a salon owner since then. I've only had 2 jobs. One was in the military and one was in the salon industry.
So that's 10 years before I was born.
Okay. I thought I had you
there. No, that's awesome. I'm excited to hear everything you've learned along the way. Like, I think that experience, I mean, I'm sure there's been a lot of successes, probably a lot of failures, and a lot of tips, tricks, and tools of the trade you've learned from working with, I mean, so many business owners as well, with like some of the leadership mindset coaching and stuff that you do as well. So awesome. I'm excited to dive in. If you guys have any questions for a multi-million-dollar salon owner, drop them in the chat today. It could be about getting more clients. It could be about you making your clients worth more or getting them to pay more. It could be getting clients coming back more often. It could be about, hiring, training, managing your team and staff. Let us know maybe what's the number one struggle you guys are having in your business right now, so we can help you with that. Plus, I'd love to hear, you guys can maybe see the awards here behind me. I'd love to know what your goal you're shooting for is. Is it 10K per month, 25K per month, 50K, 100K? Let us know so we can really customize this time we have with Jerry here just for you. But let's kind of, I guess, track me up to starting in the industry and back in 1981 as a hairdresser, starting your first salon 5 years later. Walk me up to like where you guys opened Society. Walk me through like the path to where we first met back in 2018.
Okay. I mean, let me go back there in my head.
Yeah, we're going back.
Yeah. Well, I'll start with really just, getting the whole beauty school experience was an incredible experience. And the first things I remember being impacted by was actually graduating from beauty school. For anybody on here that just graduating, I was terrified because I knew that I could make more money at McDonald's than I could make doing hair that first year. And I was right. I mean, my first paycheck was $67.
Wow.
And though it was a long time ago, $67 didn't buy much then. But, and I'll say, because I'm a mindset coach, the first thing I came to understand is that how bad do you want it? I wanted to survive badly. And sometimes you get these breaks where, you go into a salon, and I wanted to just be paid a weekly salary. Well, the best thing happened for me was not to get a weekly salary, because that meant every day was about making money. And so everywhere I went, it was about hair. And after the first week of getting 6 clients, splitting that with the salon owner, getting $67, by May of that same year, I was doing $1,000 a week.
That's awesome.
My clientele was just growing in leaps and bounds. And that was at $25 a haircut back then. So I was doing a fair amount of clients. Okay. And it just grew, but it grew because sometimes we get afraid that, and we want all this cushion. Well, really, a lot of times that could be your curse. Is when when your back is against the wall, you can really get a lot more done. There's a lot of motivation. So that was my first experience, was just getting out there, getting my confidence together, going bigger than I thought I could go. I went right to Scottsdale and worked in a salon that intimidated me, but it didn't take long to get comfortable there and to grow. And then what really happened, Jordy, for me to even want to leave that salon, because I wasn't interested in leaving the salon. And for those of you that want to just jump right out and be in business, I'd say being in an environment where you can be mentored is a good use of your time. So I got mentored in that salon, and probably would have stayed for a lot longer, but they weren't structured as a business in the way that I grew to know businesses needed to be structured. And so that's why we had to leave. I reached a ceiling, right? I could only go so far because of the way they were running the business. And we decided to do our own salon. And that was very, very scary. And I'm just going to drop nuggets wherever I see them at. One of the things I was taught, this is wisdom from the Bible: work for another person like it's yours. And I just ironically did that, not understanding that what I was learning in that process was how to run my own salon. Yep. And so even though we were intimidated or frightened stepping out there, we actually had developed more skills than we thought by giving so much to the salon we were in. And we were much better prepared than I ever thought. So that salon was a success right off the bat. We didn't look back. But this is where the things that you and I are doing, and many other people, where the mentoring comes in. We ran that salon for 9 years. We did, about the year we left or moved in with Tony and Guy, or merged with Tony and Guy, I'll say, we were about to do $450,000 that year.
Awesome.
Now, that wasn't bad for the time frame. We were all living pretty decent lives. We weren't driving Benzes or anything, but we were living pretty good. But my point is this: it took us 9 years to get there. And that mentoring that I got from Bruno Moscolo and others at Tony and Guy, the year that we left, we went from 450 to $1.2 million. And again, didn't have a lot to do with me. I was doing my part, but as I already told you, it took me 9 years to get to 450. It was really about mentoring and coaching and training that made the difference. And to really put a point here is, over the next 5 years, we went to $6 million. It took us 5 years to open 6 salons and grow from $450,000 to $6 million a year.
That's amazing.
And that was all due to mentoring, training, and coaching, and just the decisions that we were mentored in making, things that intimidated us if we were on our own. But Bruno from Tony and Guy really mentored us in some very powerful ways. And that's why I tell people, a lot of times people don't want to spend the money or the time. Well, we had to spend a lot of money to do that. But oh my gosh, the first day Tony and Guy opened, in fact, I knew we'd made the right decision. I mean, we had people lined up out the door, and for years, it was a great thing. So we met shortly after that, but that's when everything really took off for us. And we learned these systems that we share with people was during that time frame. And then we, moved into our own, into our own model society. The boys, each generation is different. So they want to do their thing, and they're doing quite well at it. Matter of fact, I just introduced Adam to a guy last night where they may purchase another rental salon. And I think they may have 3 rental salons right now, plus the commission salon.
That's awesome.
So they're doing it their way, but what they're doing it with is still the things that we taught them over the years on how to do business. They're still using the educational systems, the business systems, and the leadership mindset, still using all of those. In fact, I just got off of a call with some of their staff doing some mindset training.
I love it.
Yeah.
I just pulled a ton out of what you just shared. I want to get a quick poll from everyone so that we can really speak directly to who's watching right now. If you're a solo, type solo. If you're an owner, type owner. Jerry, you started out as a solo, just a hairdresser, right? And then you took a leap of faith and decided to, did you partner with, when you made that first transition to ownership back in Scottsdale, you had a partner with you?
Yeah, I had 2 partners.
2 partners. And so that's when you made the transition from solo to owner. Walk me through that a little bit, because I know we have a lot of solos in our audience and people who may be watching this. And maybe even owners who are in the early stages of building, or maybe wish they could redo the building of the team and staff. What did you kind of learn making that transition?
Yeah, what something you said is very important when you say redo, because my thing is you want to have to redo as little as possible, right? I do it right the first time, right? And so sometimes when people are new, they get concerned, right, to work with you. But I tell them, no, that's the best time, because there's no use of setting it up and then having to go back and re-establish things. And we, again, didn't know. It was, it was the grace of God that led us in that direction. What we did was attend a seminar that was training us on how to franchise a salon, essentially, how to set a salon up. And we took that manual after that seminar and met every Friday for 6 months and set up the policies, the procedures, the business plan, everything. We hired somebody to do our business plan professionally, but we set every aspect up. And the benefit of that, Jordy, was this. A lot of people are afraid of partnerships, and it's really because they're not aligned with their partner. They haven't taken the time to get on the same page. Well, that 6 months allowed us to get on the same page about very specific things and how we were going to run our business. So as a result of that, over the 20 years of the partnership I had, we never had an argument. Never had a problem, because we had established even how that was going to work. If we were in disagreement, how do we work that out? And so there's a lot comes to when you're about ready to do something, to work with somebody that can guide you through a process, so that, a lot of people say experience is the best teacher. That's not really true. It's evaluated experience. See, just getting experience doesn't necessarily, it could be bad experience, but to have experience that's evaluated and proven to work, having somebody, in other words, mentor you. I didn't have to have experience when I stepped out with Bruno, even, because he was able to share with me the things that worked and didn't work. So if you're a solo operator and you're thinking about stepping out, first, I'd say get some mentorship. Don't just step out there and go on this whole experience thing. Will it work? Yeah, it'll work. Yeah, I mean, if you're drowning, you'll figure out how not to drown. But that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to soar. So get out there.
Soar. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, we're not trying to keep from drowning, keep our head above water. Yeah, you'll do that because nobody wants to drown. So you'll figure that part out. But if you get the education, and I know you've done a lot of that in terms of your marketing, you spent, I'm sure, I don't know how much money you spent. I know you spent a lot because I know the people you
Millions.
work with,
Yeah.
lots. And so that's what we've done. It's just really, and everything that I do in coaching. I mean, the first couple of years I coached, I spent $30,000 just getting, with this company that I really learned how to coach with. And I don't know how much I've spent since then. It's like, a lot of people people want to not pay the money. It's the best money. I tell people that's the best $30,000 I spent. Was getting the education so that I didn't have to relearn a bunch of things.
I think I want to drill into that even further, because I think everyone knows they need, like, there's a knowledge gap, right? We call it paying off your ignorance tax, right? Like, you got to pay off what you don't know so that you can actually, fill that gap, right?
Right.
However, in today's day and age, I think it is really difficult to know who you can trust. And I know a lot of people have been burned before in the past by like marketing companies or agencies or coaches or people who run in rinky-dink courses and whatnot. So like, a good question I'd have for you from all your years of experience is how do you find, I guess, that right mentor, that right fit, that right person that it's a good idea to invest your time, your energy, your resources into?
Well, yeah, that's interesting. Question. We just finished a study on the myth of risk, is what you're talking about. How do you keep from risking your money? And sure, you do, you don't just throw it away. You research as best you can, but still and yet there's nothing risk, nothing gain. Okay, that's just the bottom line. And are you going to lose some money in the process? Oh gosh, I can't. I was on the call with a marketing girl today. The money we've lost in marketing, it ain't even funny. But see, was it a risk or was it a loss? No, it was an education.
Yeah.
It was an education. You're going to fail your way forward. I don't care what you do. Okay. It's like when people go to college, they spend thousands, tens of thousands, maybe hundred thousands of money. What do they spend it for? To learn. Do people say that's risky? No, they say it's how you get ahead. It's the same thing in business. You get ahead by learning, and you're going to pay to learn. And sometimes it's going to cost you more than you wanted it to. But the key is to keep going forward. It's never really a risk if you're investing into your vocation. You're going to grow from it. And we have to get away from this idea that I'm going to lose money, because that will stop you. That will keep you small.
Yeah.
Even as salon owners, we talk about risking time and money on our staff. And Adam said something one day. Hopefully I can remember it as he said it, but I thought it was so ingenious. He says, yeah, you can, because some salon owners say, I don't want to spend on the staff. They always leave. They do this, they do that. It's say, yeah, well, the alternative is you cannot spend money and they stay and don't make you any money. So which one would you prefer? To spend money on people that make you some money and then they leave? Okay, they're probably going to leave. So what? Or you can just not spend money, keep a bunch of losers around, and never make any money. It's an easy choice for us. We're going to bet on this. We're going to keep people around even after we spend money. So that's my recommendation. And that's really a mindset shift that you have to make.
Yeah.
Beyond that concept right there, the deal is this: most people don't understand that when you step out there, you get it and they get it too. They just don't apply it to the money. When you step out there, that's how you grow. You can't wait on all the resources to show up. I coach people all the time. They say, I don't have the money. No, that's not your problem. You don't have the money. You are your problem. You don't have the money because of what you're doing right now. You're playing small ball.
Yeah.
Decide what you want to do. Go as far as you can go into it, and you'll be surprised at how the money shows up when you step into it. I many times did not have the money to buy the training that I purchased. I put $500 on a credit card. I don't know how I was going to pay for the rest of the year. And ironically, money, once I got engaged, the money showed up. I didn't have the money when I was going to go into Tony and Guy Salon. The bank told us no 3 times. Didn't stop us from going into business. We stepped out there, and to be honest with you, I still haven't figured this out. Our salon was almost built before the bank actually gave us a loan. But it happened because we went forward without the money. And I'm telling you, that's the mindset you have to have. Go as far as you can go. And the rest will show up.
Go as far as you can go. The rest will show up. I love that. I'm gonna share a couple bullet points that I pulled from some of the things you just mentioned. I also want to highlight. So when you mentioned Bruno, I don't know if everyone knows who you're referring to, but the Mascolos are absolute legends. Do you want to share a little bit about them? Like founders of TG, Bedhead. Like you want to talk a little bit about who you're referring to?
Oh yeah. Bruno Mascolo, I consider him still my CEO. We're not in business together anymore, but Bruno still mentors me. And I mean, he's the epitome of just a true leader. Bruno's approach is he will help you no matter what. And so even though we have nothing invested together, he still will take time to help me figure out how to move forward. And he is, Tony and Guy, as Jordy said, created Bedhead Products, Tony and Guy Europe, and Tony and Guy USA. And I guess one of the biggest things I learned from Bruno, Jordy, the thing that I've learned so much. It's hard to say just one thing, but the one thing I always share with him that was revolutionary in my mind and still is, he says, if it ain't broke, break it. If it ain't broke, break it and improve it.
Let's drop that in the chat. Katie, drop that in the chat for us. If it ain't broke, break it.
Break it. Yeah, you've got to continually keep reinventing yourself. You've got to continually keep improving yourself. You're never doing your best. There's always more in you is what I got from that. You've always, and I consider that, whether he agrees with me or not, I always say, I believe that is the number one key to your success, is you maintain that attitude. No matter how good Tony and Guy was doing, they always knew and improved, reinvented themselves. And so it challenged me, and that's one of my challenges in life, is I don't care how good I'm doing in a particular area, there's always room to do better. And that's normally going to require start with some education, some training. And matter of fact, I'm signing up for a course today. I don't really want to spend money on this course because I'm spending money on another course with them. But the deal is, they said, read the book. The book's okay to read, but I tell you what, if you get in some one-on-one or group training and you can talk to some people, already know it's going to happen 10 times as fast.
100%. Anytime I've tried to, I've even found just like a lot of good and great content online. I had buddies who are part of programs who shared some of the content to me, but like, I've never really gotten much traction until I put myself in the right room, like get surrounded with other A players, get surrounded with other leaders, and like someone who can actually like understand your situation, pinpoint your problem, and guide you on what you need to do, because they've probably had that experience, right? So, but how much are the Mascolos worth nowadays? Like if you had to put a number on it.
Well, I just know Bruno. I'm sure Bruno's worth $400-600 million. I'm sure. He sold the product line for $415 million. Him being a businessman, I'm sure he took his portion and grew that. That's been 10-15 years ago. So yeah.
Well, you've been to his house or the mansion, right? Pretty sick.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Matter of fact, I need to get over there now. Yeah, Bruno lives in a $58 million home. Bruno's living better than the stars, okay, in Beverly Hills.
58 million.
58 million.
You guys can Google and look it up after the interview. Mascolo Mansion.
Look at Bruno's mansion. You'll be quite impressed.
So when we say Bruno, like that's who Jerry is referring to as one of his mentors, someone who is worth hundreds of millions of dollars and has built multiple locations with the franchise, also with the product line. Everyone has probably heard of Bedhead or TG, right? Products. So that, I'm sure, working with Bruno and getting any amount of mentorship is super valuable. If you had to pick one thing, I know you mentioned a little bit about it, what would be the number one thing that like you have learned from the Mascolos or Bruno that's been the most impactful for you?
Yeah, let me see if there's anything other than that. I mean, as far as the highest impact, I'm going to say that's always been my highest, but let me give you some meat around that. Something that he said to us one time at a breakfast meeting that just left my head spinning, because I'm sitting here with a guy that's got a company that's making hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and he's got academies, he's got salons, he's got a product line, he's got what nobody else has. He's got he's got a major product line, the fastest growing product line in North America, one of the best education companies in the world, and one of the best salon divisions. Now he's done it all now.
Yeah.
And he sit there at breakfast one time and told us, "I wish I'd have been more courageous."
Wow.
I was confused.
Oh, we lose Jerry for a sec. Be more courageous is the quote. Katie, if you want to drop that in the chat. Be more courageous, biggest thing. There you go. You're back.
He says if he knew then what he knows now, it's no telling what he would have done. It's just, in other words, he went hard, he went big, but he's telling you, I didn't go
bigger,
half as big as I could have went. Now that I'm here.
I mean, I think I've noticed that sometimes the biggest challenge we have with a lot of members we work with over 5,000 people to date. So like we get to talk to a lot of people in a lot of situations. Probably the number one thing that I see holds most people back is their goal that they're shooting for is way too low. Like the goal that they're shooting for does not get them jumping out of bed, super excited, like ready to go through the shit we all have to go through, let's be honest, to build anything worth a crap, right? And I think like thinking bigger is what I always try to encourage everyone to do. What do you advise, after all your years of experience and like mentoring and coaching tons of business owners, stylists, like people in the industry, what would you advise for someone who needs to think bigger, maybe is struggling to think bigger, and maybe even struggling with the confidence that they're worthy and capable of that higher level of success?
You know what? I'll talk a minute about it, but I'd like to offer that I do a training, 30-minute tape on that. It's just 30 minutes. We cut right to the chase. And I'd like to offer people access to that, Jordy, but it's called the 7 Secrets to Goal Setting. Setting goals that setting goals that will that you will be able to make. What I mean by that is the first thing that we talk about, Jordy, is just what you said. Don't set goals that you can make. You got to set goals that inspire you. You got to set a goal that will wake you up in the morning. I mean, I get up every morning about 3 o'clock. People say, and I just tell people, I wouldn't tell people I get up at 3. They think, well, you got a problem, right, with sleep. And I say, no, I don't have a problem. I have things that I want to get done. And my goal, I have no problem getting up. Like I've got a lot to do today. I have to get up and, I got a presentation at 5 and, this and a few other things. Well, I have things to do and I don't mind getting up. It's not a problem because my goal is big enough that it'll change my life. Set a goal that's going to change your life, because just like you said, see, if your goal is too small, when the going gets tough, and to make any goal, to grow from any place of where you're at is going to require more. And when more is required, if your goal is too small, you just give up. You say, I ain't gonna make that big of a difference, no way. But when your goal is big enough, you need a goal that is bigger than your challenge, the challenges you're having. It's more important. That's the goal you need. That goal you will constantly go for.
I love it. That's awesome. If you guys go ahead and type hashtag 7 secrets, Katie, if you could drop that, I just dropped it as well. we can chat with Jerry and see. We're going to put together some bonuses, maybe a cheat sheet of this interview, and then Jerry, if you're open to it, we can talk about doing a master class or something here some point in the next couple months or throughout this year, whenever we can lace it all together and go behind the scenes. Maybe share some of the tools, the systems, the resources, some of the most helpful things maybe you've learned throughout your journey. Is that something you're open to sharing?
Yeah,
We can talk more about.
Without a doubt.
Awesome. Go ahead and type hashtag 7 secrets down below so we can get you access to the freebies, also give you the replay and all the stuff that we're talking about here right now. With the time we have left, Jerry, let me recap some of the hot gold nuggets that I heard from what you said. And then I've got kind of a couple rapid fire questions that I have for you. And then if Katie and I right now in the chat, if you guys have questions, I got all of your questions coming in here. Drop your questions down below and we'll do a little Q&A with Jerry as well. So let's hit it. So a couple things I pulled was, how bad do you want it? Was something that you mentioned early on in the journey, right? Like you've got to really want the goal or want the outcome you're looking to achieve, or really want that next level of success if you're going to be able to push through all the challenges. I know we've had, multiple conversations about how many times there was rejection along your journey, how many times like banks denied you, for funding or loans, or like locations, like there's been constant failures and constant rejection. The only thing that keeps you going is two things, I think, which is what you just said, having that goal that's actually going to change your life and being super excited to jump out of your bed every day to attack it, but also wanting it really badly, right? There's two things I usually talk about and refer to with our clients is, like, when it comes to wanting something, there's usually two kind of core desires in some way that we're kind of aiming for. It's to move away from pain. Maybe a lot of us are in a really tough spot right now. We've been struggling financially. We're not able to support our family or our kids or our retirement plan the way that we know we should. And it's like a painful situation. If you struggle with like a painful situation in your life, drop pain down below in the chat. Now, the other side of the token is the exact opposite, which is the gain side of things, like moving towards pleasure rather than away from pain, if that makes sense. Some people, may be in a decent spot in their life right now. They may be comfortable. They may be doing better than most people. And so I think in those cases, it's not a matter of moving away from pain. It's like moving towards that goal or that pleasure, or, moving towards a gain of some sort. Type gain in the chat if you've ever been in a good spot and you're ready for more. You're worthy and capable of it. What would you advise to maybe both parties who may be moving away from pain or towards pleasure, or looking to gain more out of their life right now?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And they both will can take you in the direction of gain, right? Because you're still going in the same direction. I would say, first of all, if you're a person that's moving away from pain, definitely consider getting some coaching to shift that mindset. Because the biggest challenge with it is it's just a hard mentally, emotionally way to move forward. The other problem with it is, if pain is here and pain is here, pleasure is here, then as soon as you get, let me see if I can get my hands right. As soon as you get far enough away from pain, you start slacking up because it's the pain that was driving you.
Yes.
And
I have experienced that myself. Full transparency.
Yeah, you just don't quite get there. And we all do this to some degree, right? You're exactly right. Yeah. So, but if you can become more situated and moving towards pleasure, it doesn't matter how far the pleasure goes, you want more. So you keep moving till you're off the charts, right? So you keep moving towards pleasure. But the bottom line in moving forward, for me, comes out of Think and Grow Rich. You have to learn the skill of focusing on what you want consciously and unconsciously until it becomes an obsession. See, until once your unconscious mind is clicked in there that this guy really wants this thing. This woman really, she gonna do this with or without us. Yes. It'll click in and just really start giving you all kind of ideas on how to get there. But you go ahead.
I was just going to say one thing that's always stuck for me from one of my mentors is your obsessions become your possessions, right? So like
That's it.
you want it bad enough. You like, I feel like a lot of people will say, I want this. I am obsessed with getting through this. And their actions don't show it. So what does like, I guess, obsession really mean to you? And how can you leverage that as a tool?
Yeah, and that's a good point. Is sometimes we just want something.
Yeah.
That's not an obsession. You've got to be able to, you're not going to ever be happy without it. That's what it's got to be. I can't be okay without it. I'm not going to be okay. To me, that's a level of obsession. But the key is, how do you get there? You get there by focusing on it, getting up every morning, dreaming about it, playing these little movies in your head about it. You got to do the work. You get there by like we went to the mall to look at a salon and got obsessed with being in the mall.
Mm-hmm.
Just like when you go drive, that's why I don't drive new cars. I don't go to the new car lot because I want a new car right now. And I know that if I go to the new car lot and drive a new car, I'm going to become obsessed. It don't take long to become obsessed with a nice car. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to buy that car. So use that in reverse. You start visiting nice salons. You start dreaming about it, talking about it. You start getting around other people that have great salons or great business. Whatever you focus on, you're going to become obsessed with. You focus on it long enough. And it's really as simple as that, but most people don't have enough control of their lives to where they're going to get up in the morning and spend the time. And that's where, again, training, coaching, things like that can be of help, is to get you focused in on becoming obsessed. But there's actually, Jordy, to tell you the truth, there's some techniques we do in NLP that will start driving that obsession in 30 minutes. It's just putting it, we actually install it into your unconscious mind.
I love that. We'll have to talk about that in the masterclass.
Yeah.
If you'll type hashtag Jerry down below in the chat, we'll give you access to the invitation to the masterclass we'll do after this, any of the tools and resources that we're referring to as well. Katie and I are also going to be working on putting together a little cheat sheet of the hot buttons and notes from today. Cool. Let me cover a couple things that I also pulled. You said your cushion is your curse. That was a huge hot button for me. Your cushion is your curse. Katie, if you want to drop that in the chat. I think a lot of us can agree that like when we get in a comfortable spot, or we have that safety net, like we know we have something to fall back on, or we know that it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. So like sometimes we don't have that fuel or that fire to keep pushing. I thought that was really awesome. You shared that. Your cushion is your curse. That's a gold nugget for me. You mentioned kind of hitting the glass ceiling at some point in your journey where you hit kind of your max and you realize like you needed to level up to the next level. I see a lot of people hit that as solos or even as owners. What would you advise, I guess, just very quickly on this point? Like when you're starting to hit that glass ceiling for, could be capacity or just like how much you can manage at once, what is your recommendation to like evolve and excel that glass ceiling to the next level?
Yeah, again, it's all about goal setting, right? You're doing $100,000 a year and you've been killing yourself doing that. You're like, man, I never thought I could get here, but now you're here, but you can't get past that. You have to set a new aggressive goal. Mm-hmm. And the trick is, most people, you might say, well, I'm going to set a goal. So Jerry set a goal for 200,000. Yeah. Set a goal for 200,000. That's the best standard of movement, is doubling, right? And you might say, but how could I do 200,000 when I have the same hours, same this? I'm telling you, if you set the goal, stay focused on the goal, become obsessed with the goal, your unconscious mind will start giving you ideas.
Figure it out.
And then you will just simply have to be courageous enough to step out on those ideas.
I love that advice. That is amazing. Question I had as well. What would you recommend if you were to go from 0 to 1 million, your first $1 million, be able to play it back again? Let's say you and me open up a salon together. We launch today. What are the steps you would go through to get to that first million in as little time as possible?
Well, I always say a business for me now thrives on about 4 points, and it starts with what you do. is you got to get a good marketing plan. Because if you ain't got no marketing, you ain't got no clients, and you don't even need a business. Okay. So you got to get a good marketing plan. You've got to get, and we're talking to salon owners, so let me be specific. You've got to get a good skill set. Ain't nobody going to keep buying something that ain't working that great. That's just the bottom line. You got a great marketing plan. They're coming in the door, but they're coming in the front door and leaving out the back door. So you've got to get a good skill set training for your people. If I was running a salon, that'd be the first thing. I'm going to get a marketing plan. Then I'm going to find people that and train them very well. And then the other two things would be you've got to get good leadership skills, because if you cannot inspire and motivate those people that are working with you, they're leaving. And when they leave, so do the clients. Okay. So you've got to get that. And the last thing I always say, you've got to get some mindset training, because you are the lid in the business.
Yeah.
And the higher you grow, as you've grown in your field, Jordy, so has your business grown. It can only grow as high as the leaders. So those are the four big pillars to me to growing and scaling a company. Is you got to have the right mindset, the right leadership to inspire the people. You got to train these people well, because you got to deliver a good product, especially in this day and age. And you've got to have marketing, because everything boils down to sales. If you got no clients, the rest don't matter.
I love it. So Katie, if you want to drop this in the chat, kind of 4 pillars to your first million, skills you need to acquire, right? This is not just things I think you stumble across and figure out. Like, these are skills you need to be intentional about building. You mentioned mindset, working on your mindset. Your business is a reflection and a mirror of you, right? Like we always say, there's no business problems, only personal problems that show up in your business. And so, like, if your business isn't growing right now, the mirror to ask yourself is, are you growing right now? Like, what are you doing to grow yourself so that your business can grow, right? So I love that. And then you mentioned leadership. Obviously, being able to be a leader for, your community, your clients, to start if you're a solo, and eventually be able to lead and transfer your skill sets maybe to to others, so that you can actually eventually have a chance to build a real business, not just a hobby or being self-employed for the rest of your life, right? And I think that's huge. Training, you mentioned. So mindset, leadership, training. Katie, if you want to drop that. Training, obviously, you need to be able to have good education and training yourself to be able to lead and transfer that to others. But one of the most important things I think that we've talked a lot about, just you and me, and also with our community, is like, if you ever want to have like an exit plan, if you ever want to really build like we said, a real business, I'm sure you've read Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, right? Where you start out, working for someone else, then you're self-employed, working a business owner, eventually becoming an investor. Most people get stuck in that self-employed stage in this industry, I found, right? And that's because they're missing those first 3 things you just mentioned: mindset, leadership, and being able to transfer their skills through training to someone else, so that they aren't having to be trading time for money, stuck behind the chair in their salon forever, right? And then you mentioned the marketing piece, right? The business can't grow if there's no clients coming in the doors consistently. And that's where you and I first met, is like some of the old ways, weren't working like they used to. So you've got to get, connected with people who have cracked the code, figure this out, so you can kind of model what works and start getting that consistent client flow coming in, and be aggressive about it, right? So I think that's awesome. Anything else, like someone who's looking to make their first million in the next 6 to 12 months, being aggressive about it, anything you'd advise?
Well, me again, being a mindset coach, but I think it's real. As a person thinketh, so are they. It really starts with mindset for me. Because your mindset will stop or cause you to get marketing, to be willing to figure out how to pay for it. Your mindset will stop or help you to train your staff, or, it's just where it all kicks off at. And so for me, that's the number one thing a person has to start with if they want to move fast, is you've got to, you're the vessel that everything is flowing through. And if you're all clogged up and all confused, it just can't flow. You're going to be the lid. You're going to keep everything down. So that's where I grew. Even stepping in with Bruno, that was a huge mindset shift. I was terrified to go from $3,000 a month to $12,000. But see, and this is where, again, coaching and training comes in. He lent me his faith. I didn't have the faith to do it. I'm like, you sure this will work? I trusted him. And the first day it opened, I was like, man, he was right. So, but that took a mindset. I had to continually work with my mind to accept this, because there were a whole lot of negative thoughts that were telling me, I don't know, I think it's big fish eat little fish, Jerry. This is probably not a good move. And I had to resist all the negativity. And that's a mindset issue.
How do you recommend working on that mindset aside from mentorship? Like if someone's like, I need to grow my mindset, I need to think bigger, I need to really like stay ahead of the game and start really getting my life growing. What would you advise is, like, I guess, things you can do to really focus on growing your mindset?
I feel like most coaches do, the number one book probably is Think and Grow Rich, because there's so much in it that deals with mindset. It's hard to go wrong reading that. The challenge is a lot of people have read it, but they don't know how to apply it. And so just like we were talking about, it's hard to, you can get a lot of information, but as somebody said to me the other day, we don't have an information problem. We have an execution problem in life. There's no information. I mean, Google can tell you anything you want to know about.
Today, everything is available somewhere, right? So it's sifting through and just taking the right action, right?
And Chat GPT, if Google don't know what Chat surely does. Okay, I've been on Chat big time, but it's an implementation problem. Most people don't know how to apply what they're learning. And there's just a lot of ways, we do a $97 a month coaching thing that it's just we tell people, if you can't afford $97, you got bigger problems than you thought you did. It's like, you just there's all types of places to find to get some information. You just got to set the goal. What is it that you want? And I'm telling you, your unconscious mind will start giving you ideas in direction. And then you have to be courageous enough to step into it. A lot of people already know what they damn need to do. They just ain't doing it. Okay. They're like, but I don't know. Stop it. Do it. If it doesn't work, pivot.
Yes. I love it. Everyone type, just do it down below in the chat. We'll be a Nike commercial here today.
Yeah, we're doing the Nike.
So just do it. Comment it down below in the chat. Again, if you haven't typed hashtag Jerry, drop that down below in the comments as well. And we'll be getting in touch with you about a class we'll be putting together, going much deeper on this, behind the scenes, talk about everything he's kind of learned along his journey, what's working for his, previous salons, and things he's learned from guys that are doing hundreds of millions of dollars in this industry. So you got time for just 2 questions, Jerry? I've got 2 in the queue. Okay, cool. Definitely. So Chemo asks, I'd like to know more about how you went about franchising the business. She owns and operates a med spa, also looking into her first school. So she's looking to duplicate her current model. So I guess, what would be your advice on the franchising side, and how would you go about doing that with your experience?
Well, a good start is to start reading a book called The E-Myth. I don't know if you're, that's a good place to start.
Michael
Again,
Gerber.
It'll start opening your mind up to the fact how you have to really orchestrate and really document everything. That's a good start. That's where I started. And from there, it led me to, Tony and Guy. We were using these systems before Tony and Guy, but they just really improved us upon them. But that's a great start, because the bottom line is you can't leave anything to chance. And one of the first lessons I learned in that book was that even if you're going to have one salon, you have to set it up like you're going to have 100. So everything needs to be documented and the systems need to be put in place. And that really impacted me, I always say.
That alone is good advice. Like, are you running your salon right now as if you were running 100 of them, right? That's awesome. The E-Myth, one of my all-time favorite books to refer to when making that, evolution of building good. The whole concept of the book is about systems, right? Everyone drop that in the chat. Systems. Right now, probably if you're feeling stuck, you're in a rut, you're not where you want to be in your business or your life, or you're feeling burnt out, you're stuck behind the chair, you're in your salon, you don't have a way out. That's where burnout usually happens. I've noticed is just like I don't see a way out of this to actually hit my goal, or a way that this is getting any better on the current path that I'm in. The E-Myth talks a lot about that and how to avoid that burnout by building good systems. So the E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Katie, if you want to drop that in the chat, that'd be awesome. Final question was from Sarah. This is a simple question. So she asked about what time you go to sleep when you were talking about your wake up time. Walk us through, I guess, like your anchors, like when you go to bed, when you wake up, what's like a day in the life look like for Jerry?
What, Sarah, I try to be in the bed by 10, which isn't hard for me because I'm a day person. So I try to get the right amount of sleep. I like to go to bed at 10, and my alarm goes off at 2:45. So at that point, at 2:45, I got 15 minutes before I need to get started. And at 15 minutes, I'll start at 3 o'clock. I start my little meditations that I do. Focusing on what I want, right? So as it's becoming an obsession, and it's all coming true. It's amazing to me. And then I do my prayer. I'm a Christian, so I do my prayer at 4:30. I go and I do my reading at 5:30 to 6:30. Then I go walking or doing my weights, and then I come back and shower, and my day is ready to start. I tell people by noon I've had a day, okay? But that's when, so at 8 I'm ready to go do anything. Sometimes I have groups at 6:30 and things like that. But on a good day, I could start my day at 8. And my goal is to go all day until 10 beyond. Now, some mornings, some days, like last night, I fell asleep at probably 7:45. Could have fell asleep earlier, but I thought, I'm feeling tired today, and I just went to sleep, and it's no problem. Yeah.
I love it. Well, Jerry, this was awesome. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on. Like, I know for a fact, if anyone watching this now or watches the replay, I highly recommend, this is all of our interviews, like watch them more than once so you can really pull out like some of the gold nuggets and just figure out what's even just one thing I can implement from what I just heard. Because like you said, Jerry, it's not about just more information, it's about action. And right now, everyone who's watching this video, you're in a room, like between me and Jerry, I mean, $100 probably $1 million of wealth being generated between us and our network, right? And so like, this is the right room for all of you guys who are in this space looking to make your first or next 10, 25, 50, 100 grand a month or more. But you got to take action, right? And there's so many things that we talked about today that you can take action on. You just have to actually like do it. Just do it, as we said before. So Jerry, I appreciate you coming on. Is there any final words of inspiration or encouragement you'd share with anyone who may be watching right now that's looking to double, triple, 10x their business this year? Words of advice.
I would just say somewhat along the lines of just do it. Just actually, you know what the next step is you need to take. You may not know what the step after that is. Don't worry about that. Just take the next step.
Love it. Well, Jerry, thank you so much. Everyone drop hashtag Jerry down below if you want to get the interview bonuses and the replay. And Jerry, I'll reach out to you soon. We'll talk about maybe putting a little class together for everyone.
Okay. I'll talk with you later. I'm going to jump on another call.
All right. Appreciate you. We'll talk soon. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.